And welcome back to another fasting check-in. That's right, that's right. We are here in this space and we're fasting. We're using fasting as an amazing tool to reverse our diabetes, to set ourselves up for metabolic success, to gain control of our health. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to reverse their diabetes, who want to reverse their metabolic disease, who wants to get off of medication, and who want to live healthily. We are living a limitless life. And limitless living says that we are not allowing anything outside of us. No situation, no hurt feelings. We're not allowing anything from inside of us. No history, no trauma, no depression, no anxiety, nothing to prevent us from doing what we need to do for our health. We are presenting our best selves, our best health, and our best plans for our life to go to the next level and create the life we've always wanted. If you're new, go ahead and put new in the comments because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that I am excited that you're here. If you have questions, go ahead and put those in the comments, in the chat, because I'd love to get to those as we get through the show tonight. And I'm excited because I am in the process of another 72-hour fast. In fact, let's see. In 3 hours, 3 hours, 1, 2, 3, I would have completed my 72-hour fast. Yep. So we're right now at 60, what does that make us? 68, 69, 70, 71? No, 69 hours of fasting for this week. 69 hours. And we'll take a look at my blood sugars. You guys know how we do. You get to see my meter and my report. So here is these are my meters off to the side that we'll take a look at in just a minute. This is my Keto Mojo and my Contour. I've got some strips here. Oh, let me grab this one. All right, so I've got some strips that we'll take a look at. And right down below, what you're supposed to see is my Dexcom Clarity Report. And there it is. So we'll kind of walk through that a little bit as we get through the show. I am excited also because this has been an amazing week. It's been a wonderful week of growth, both for me personally and as I had talked to our community members as we've gone through. And we had our community meetup last night. We would have that once a week, and it was exciting to see the benefits and see the goals and see the success that they're having in their personal lives. If you're not part of our community, you want to make sure that you get here. We do that once a month, and it's a great place to be to get some personal additional coaching. So we'll come and we'll talk. We'll see some of our community members who are out there in just a minute. So you are asking yourself, because here you are in this space, you're asking yourself, what are we doing? And by the way, you see, I'm sporting my Living Less Living gear, right? So I've got my hat. I don't have my shirt on right now, but I've got my sign over there. And of course, you see Limitless Living all over the screen. Now, here's an interesting thing, and we'll I'm just going off script here for a minute, but I've been talking limitless living last year, as we were getting through the year, new you, talking limitless living, what are we going to do for this season? And so I've been talking that, and we show our shows, we show the episodes in the office. And I was with a bunch of friends of mine, and I was telling them something that happened and the way I handled the situation. And one of the guys said to me, "Oh, you're practicing the limitless living." Now, this had nothing to do with food, had nothing to do with a health space. It was just another situation that we were in that I was telling them how I handled it. And one of the beauties of limitless living, as we've said, limitless living transcends any space that you're in. Now, we're talking about health, right? As you heard at the top of the show, we're reversing diabetes. That's our goal. Our plan is to get off of medication, improve our metabolic health. But when you are living a limitless life, it overlaps into so many areas. It's a domino effect. Limitless living is one of those keystone principles that we use for our life. And if we do that, then we get success. We move in a direction that sets us up for success, not just in our health, but in other things. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I said that. So let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit. So I am now like I said, 69 hours into this week's fast. And I want to do a check-in, and the check-in, we'll talk about fasting in a minute. We'll do our how to start the fast, how you get through the fast, how you break the fast. But I want to do a check-in, and this really is a place for you to evaluate what it is that's going on in whatever process you are doing. So here in this space, we're using fasting as a tool for our metabolic health. But you may be on a particular diet plan. You may be on a particular exercise plan. You may be in a coaching scenario. You may have a personal trainer. Whatever it is, you want to evaluate the process. Because if you don't evaluate the process, you don't know if you're getting the benefit. And if you don't know you're getting the benefit, then you don't know if you have to pivot, if you have to change, if you have to adjust. Okay? And so there are three places that often people will find that they will have difficulty. And these are the three places where I do my check-in. And they are how I'm doing physically, how I'm doing mentally, and how I'm doing emotionally. Okay? So those are the three spaces. So when you are looking at anything, you want to make sure that you're evaluating, and these are some of the key places, key areas that you want to make sure you're evaluating. How are you doing physically, mentally, and emotionally? And specifically, as we're doing fasting, these are the three places that people will find that they'll have trouble, right? They'll have difficulties. And so our goal is to try to minimize those, understand what's going on in our body, see how we're feeling, and then make adjustments. So, limitless living. So physically, how am I feeling physically? And so, as I mentioned, I am 69 hours into this week's fast. I was out actually walking and doing one of the episodes for our show, for our 100-day walk to consistency and health. And my meter kept going off, and so it had dipped below 70, and so it started beeping, and so now it's heading up in the other direction, and I think, I need to go. So my son bought me a Mountain Dew, and I'm trying to remember now if it's the 0 one. Anyway, I didn't look at it. Oh, see, you see that? See how that happens? But well, I'm gonna have him bring it in a minute. Okay. So yeah, physically I'm feeling good. I'm so 69 hours into the fast, and my energy levels are good. I'm not feeling as though I'm lightheaded, dizzy, sweaty. Of course, I have been doing a good job of hydrating. I got my mug there, and so as I'm resting, as I'm hydrating, those symptoms that typically come in this space, they're not happening right now. So I'm not feeling any of those. Also, when we talk about physical, then we move on to mental. So how am I feeling mentally? I'm feeling clear. I'm not feeling fuzzy-headed. I'm not feeling as though I'm walking through a tunnel. I'm not feeling as though sometimes people will say that they feel foggy-headed, and I'm not feeling that at all. And I'm lifting my hat because I think, does my sound different? It sounds different to me when I do that versus when I do that. And I think my voice is not getting through the brim and getting to my mic. That's an interesting process. Anyway, so physically, mentally, and then, of course, emotionally. And emotionally, this week has been a better week. Last week, we had lots of things that were going on that, and if you recall at the beginning of the week, last week, I had challenges getting into my fast, right? So I finally got into the fast, but it took a long time, and I had a delayed fast because there were a lot of emotional things going on in my life, some stressful and some commitments. And because of that, I found it difficult to get into the fast last week. But this week, actually doing well. Not any issues there. So let's go ahead and let's say hello to some of our community members, and then we're gonna hop over and we're gonna take a look at our blood sugars. And I do see some folks out there. Let's see. Who do we have? Looks like Juan is out there. Hey, Juan, how are you? I think you were the first one to pop in. And I did get a message in our community for Juan was asking, hey, are we going? Have you seen Alive? And I think Pam responded to her. So yeah. So she said, hi, doctor. Juan said, hi, Wood gang. Welcome. Thank you for being here, everybody. Congrats for completing your 72-hour fast. Well, not completing yet, so I'm 69 hours, so I'm pretty close. Pretty close to that. So 69 hours right now. Bowie says, hi, everyone. Gian says, hi, Bowie. And Bowie said, 36 hours fast. Okay, great. Congratulations. Let me give you a hand clap for that. Actually, no, that was Gian. Says, okay, she said, I missed that. She's waiting this level. I am a 36-hour fast. Okay, so congratulations to you, Gian. And I think Bowie was giving that to you as well. Gian says, same here. Gian, thank you. I am in a Ramadan fast. Okay, awesome. Congratulations. Gian says, wow, I see. Pam says, hello. And Bowie says, hello, Pam. Let me go back up. I think I may have missed. Okay, so Bowie says that they're in a 36-hour fast. Or I'm not sure if you were commenting on Gian. So put that in again. But congratulations to all of you who are fasting. And Pam is saying hello to both. Awesome. Love it. All right. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars. And so here are my blood sugars. And what I was commenting about was that, let's go here. Yeah. So what I was commenting about was that I just came home and my son bought me because my blood sugar, you see down in the green, see this right here? See this squiggly line? So there were some low blood sugars, and I just drank some Mountain Dew, and it was supposed to be zero in Mountain Dew. So I'm wondering now if it was a diet, because if it was a diet, then it has carbs in it. It's like 0.0001%. Okay, so remember that diet does not mean carb free or sugar free, by the way. So I see my blood sugar spiked a little bit there from 69 up to 76. So I'm just wondering. I'm gonna have him bring that in so I could take a look at it. Okay, and just another indication, right? That sometimes life is going on, and you're here focusing, and if you're not careful, sometimes things will come in. And I don't think he hopefully it wasn't. And I didn't pay attention because I assumed the one he had was a zero carb or zero sugar, so mine was zero sugar as well. But we'll see. All right. So that's my blood sugar right now at 69 hours in this fast. And here is my Dexcom, and Dexcom says 79. If I roll my finger across that, you'll see I've been in the 70s, low 70s, upper 70s all day. Here's some 80s and 90s earlier on in the day. That's going on back to last night. And then this morning, I was in the 110s, 104, 105, 101, then dropped below 100 and kind of hung out there for a while and actually still below 100. Okay. So now let's go ahead and let's take a look at what my meters are saying. And so let's go ahead and I'm going to get a strip for this one. And this is my contour. And let's go ahead and let's move this over a little bit. Open this one. This is the Keto Mojo. So I'm going to put that in. And at the same time, I'm going to go ahead and open up this is the ketone strip that goes with the Keto Mojo. Go ahead and open that one up and just have it off to the side. Okay, and I see somebody jumping in. Julian is jumping in already and saying that she thinks that my ketones are going to be 2.0. So yeah, if you think you know what it is, go ahead and drop that in the comments as well. And just a lancet. Let me hold that up a little closer so you could see. This is a lancet, and that's what the tip of that needle looks like. Okay, and I just usually find a finger and just let's see. Let's get a good stick, and ow. So I hope that's a good stick because that hurt a little bit. There we go. Good flow, right? And let's get that one started. And I think that same drop is going to be good enough to get my Keto Mojo started. All right, so 69 is what the contour says. 73 is what the Keto Mojo said. And of course, right there, you'll see this is the Dexcom G7, and it says 79. Okay, so you can see. So between the contour and the Dexcom, it's 10 points. Oh, I'm talking. Let me go ahead and get this strip out so I can start the ketones. Otherwise, I will have to do another finger stick, which I do not want to do. So let's go ahead and get that started. And boom. All right, so that's going. And of course, I'm not going to let you guys see that. 7, 6, 5, 4. Okay, boom. So drop into the comments. What do you think? What do you think it is going to be? All right. And let's see. Yeah. So Gian said that she thinks the ketones are going to be 2.0. And let me hop back over there. Yeah, so Gian says 2.0, so I'm going to go ahead and star that, so we'll come back to it. And Bui says, sorry, I'm having a lot of typos. I'm observing Ramadan, which is basically 1 meal a day for me. Okay, awesome. Congratulations for you. Hand clap. And Gina's asking if you're normally 1 meal a day, and she says yes, but the hours are different. I'm not used to eating in the evening and fasting through lunch. Okay. All right. Awesome. Good. All right. So fasting. We're fasting. And we're fasting because it is a tool that we're using to reverse diabetes. That's basically the bottom line. Fasting has become this amazing tool that people are using in the health space. Now, fasting has been around for centuries, right? And so there have been religious reasons, there have been cultural reasons that people have fasted, and even if you go back and watch some of the older movies, you go up in the hills of wherever and you find some of the monks or the religious and spiritual leaders who are the wise men and women. They're up in the hills and they're fasting because they're cleansing their body. They are removing themselves from any physical connection to this world. So there's all those concepts. So fasting has been around for a long time. But recently, it has taken on a life of its own as we have now started using fasting in the space of health and health management and health care. For a long time, we didn't believe that fasting worked. We didn't believe that you could fast and you should fast. In fact, even today, you'll have people say to you, if you tell them you're fasting, like, oh, you're not supposed to do that. That's not healthy for you. Oh, you're starving. And we'll come back and answer some of those in a minute. But it has become very much evident that fasting has a place in the management of metabolic disease, and there are non-metabolic benefits to fasting as well. Okay, so there are some things, and we haven't done that show yet. As a matter of fact, we were supposed to do that show several weeks ago. but it was preempted because there was a question that some of our community members had, and we wanted to answer that question, and so we didn't do this show. But it is a show that we are planning still to come back and do, because it is a very important show. That is, what are the non-metabolic benefits of fasting? Okay, but within the metabolism, one of the main focuses of fasting is that it helps to reverse insulin resistance. And as we know, insulin resistance, or insulin, is the problem in many of our metabolic diseases. And if we can somehow fix the insulin problem, then the downstream issues that happen improve and go away. And so our goal with our fasting is, how do we harness the power of fasting to reverse those metabolic issues and ultimately reverse our diabetes? Diabetes is on the spectrum. It's on the spectrum of metabolic diseases. It is, as I say, the prototypic metabolic disease. So if we can figure out a way to manage diabetes, to treat diabetes, to help diabetes, then we can figure out a way, because we can use those same principles, those same tools to help with the other metabolic diseases as well. And those are things like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, polycystic ovarian syndrome, obesity, fatty liver, even some cancers, neurodegenerative diseases, things like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and multiple sclerosis, people who have neuropathy for various reasons. It doesn't necessarily have to be just because of diabetes. So fasting is that tool, and fasting is one of the tools that we're using. There are other things that we've talked about: balanced bites, right? Feeding your body with the fuel that it needs. We've talked about exercise. Every move counts, right? Balanced bite. Every bite counts. Exercise. Every move counts. Sleep. Being mindful. Creating a meal plan. The COPE model. Clarify, observe, pause, and execute. All of these are tools that we're using in the space of metabolism and in the space of improving our health. And our theme for this year is limitless living. We are living a limitless life. We're not allowing anything to impair our ability to be successful and to move forward. Make sense? And so here we're talking about fasting. How do we fast successfully? If we're going to use it as a tool, then we got to know how to do it well. And so how do we fast successfully? And that's where we are right now, right? So, and I do a 72-hour fast once a week. Yes, you heard me. I paused there because somebody's like, 72, wait a minute, that's 1, 2. Yes, so 72 hours once a week. And part of the reasons for doing a 72-hour fast is that it helps for us to see the changes in blood sugar, changes in ketones, because it helps you understand what's going on in your body. That's number one. Number two, I am doing it personally because it helps my metabolic disease, right? So if you guys remember my story, I had significant metabolic issues going on, and I wanted to jumpstart that process, and fasting is that space. Fasting allows us some measure of control. We were talking about this in our community meetup yesterday. When I'm fasting, the food noise gets quieter. It's a space where I feel like I can be in control. Some of you out there who don't have diabetes, or you're not overweight, or you're not dealing with issues of polycystic ovarian syndrome or fatty liver, but the food noise is there, and you want to control that. You want to be able to deal with that, and fasting allows you to be able to do that as well. Some of you want to begin working on your ability to be resilient, to be mindful, to be self-assured, to be self-confident. Fasting is a way to do that, because when you're fasting, all the stuff that comes, right, all the situations you find yourself in, you've got to now deal with that. You got to figure out how to deal with that, and fasting allows you the opportunity to be able to do that without falling back to your buffering behaviors. And I think my camera just went out, so give me just a second. Let's see what's going on there. We're going to change it to this back one. There we go. And you guys get to see me there. But yeah, so fasting is an amazing way of being able to do that, and it allows us to be able to say, okay, this is what's going on. This is what's going on in my life, and I'm gonna make a change here in just a minute, guys. Let's go ahead and do that, and let's pop over and make a change to our camera. All right. So hopefully you are still seeing me, or still hearing me. I shouldn't say seeing, because you. I know you're seeing me, but you may not be hearing me, and that's okay for now. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna do one additional thing. See if I can fix that. That's not quite working. Okay, so I'm gonna have to reach up. Give me a second, guys. Okay, hopefully that fixes it. Let's go back to camera A. There we go. All right, there we go. It's nothing like being alive, right? So live allows us the opportunity to multitask and to problem solve. Okay, so that is fasting. That is the reason we're fasting. That's what we're doing, and so we want to make sure that we are doing it well. So let's hop over and we're going to take a look at our fasting. We're going to walk through fasting so that you are seeing and you are able to kind of process in your mind as you are looking at the fasting schedule, and what should I do? How do I get through fasting? How do I prepare for a fast? And then of course, how do I make it to the end of a fast? And right, so basically fasting review, it's what you need to know, right? What do you need to know in terms of fasting? And there are three things that I tell people whenever we're dealing with fasting, right? We want to talk about how do we prepare for the fast, how do we get through the fast, and then of course, how do we break the fast? Those are the three areas, and they are all very important. So for fasting, preparing for the fast, as you are moving through the space of being healthy, and anything that you're going to do, one of the most important things to understand and to address is preparation. Right? Because if you prepare for whatever it is, then your chances of being successful go up. If you don't prepare, then things are unexpected and you're not ready for those, and that can cause significant issues, significant problems for you. So as we're talking about fasting, and we're talking about preparing, why is preparation key? Why is preparation key for fasting? Preparation is key because how you prepare determines how successful you are in your ultimate disease process. Right? If you are not careful, then what will happen is that you will get into a fast, and either you may make it through the fast, but it's so rocky that the next time you want to fast, your brain is like, no, it didn't go well for us last time, so let's not do that. So it makes it difficult for the next time. Even though you get through this one, it makes it difficult for the next time. Or you don't get successfully through the fast, and in your mind, well, fasting doesn't work for you, right? So in either case, it is stopping, it is interrupting, it is putting a roadblock in front of you where you like I'm not fasting anymore. Okay, and we do not want to do that. So preparation is very important as we're going to go through the fast, because it helps us to go through the fast successfully. And when we're preparing, right, there are three areas that are very important. There are others, but these are the top three. So physically, mentally, and emotionally. So when I am During my review, I do a review and I talk about these specific areas. Why? Because these are the important ones. I said they are the most important. There are some others that we'll talk about as we get through this section, but you want to make sure that you're addressing these as well. And then when you're fasting, when you're preparing for the fast, it allows you to determine milestones. And milestones are very, very, very important. Why are milestones important? Because when we're fasting, or think about anything else really, right? So you're losing weight. If your goal is, okay, I'm losing, say, 30 pounds, and you're not assessing yourself along the way, you don't know when 30 pounds is you reach 30 pounds. Or you may not be able to envision 30 pounds. Or you may think 30 pounds is not coming, it's taking a long time. But if you're monitoring that, right, if you're setting up those milestones, then you can celebrate those along the way. You know you're heading in the right direction. So when we're preparing, okay, I'm going to fast for 24 hours, for 36 hours, whatever the number of hours that you're going to fast, and you begin setting those milestones. One of the things I do when I'm driving, if I'm going long distance, is I'll play a game with myself, right? So where am I supposed to be at this particular time? Where am I supposed to be at that particular time? How many more miles do I have to go to get to this mile marker? And so I make a game out of it, and it's fun, right? So fasting allows you, or preparing for the fast allows you to be able to do that, set those mile markers so that you are aware of what's going on. So number one, mental preparation. So fasting is not just not eating. Often we think that fasting, okay, if I'm not eating, then everything is good. And fasting is not just not eating. It is mental, it is physical, it is emotional. And if we're not careful, we will miss that whole component of it, and we will end up not doing a good job of fasting because we've just kind of pigeonholed ourselves into this one area. Okay, so it is a holistic view, or a holistic thing that happens, and it sets us up for success when we are able to do that and look at it. Okay? And then when we prepare mentally, we want to set clear goals. We want to understand why it is that we are doing the things that we're doing. Why are we fasting? Why are we looking at? Why are we interested in health? Why are we interested in doing the things we're doing? Because if we don't pay attention to that, then we will end up in a space that may not be the place we want to be. And that can be tough. When you show up and you have arrived, quote unquote, but yet when you arrive, it's not the place you want to be, that can be difficult. And you're like, well, why am I here? Right? I don't want to do that. I don't want to be here. And so you want to make sure that you are not setting yourself up for difficulty, and you are being very intentional about what you're doing in your fasting, right? So what is my goal? Set clear goals. Where am I heading? Where do I need to be? How do I get there? Right? If you do that, then you're doing a good job of setting yourself up for the best possibility of success. So when we're looking at fasting, that's what's going on. That's what we're interested in. Are we doing the job of understanding our why? Does it allow us the benefits? Right? Is it aligned with what we say is important to us? Okay, so very, very, very important there. And then we want to visualize. We want to imagine what it looks like when we have successfully gotten through the fast. What does that look like for me? We want to smell it, feel it, touch it, taste it. We want to make it real so that when difficulties happen, and they will happen, you are able to successfully navigate those because you know where you're heading. If you don't visualize, right? Sometimes it's hard to get there if you can't conceptualize it. You're like, well, I don't even know what that's going to be like. But if you can touch it, feel it, taste it, then when difficulties happen, it helps to push you through that area. And then educate yourself. What fast are you going to do? On our show 2 nights ago, we did a comparison between intermittent fasting and extended fasting. Right? So which fasting method are you going to do? Are you going to do 1 meal a day? Are you going to do, like some people here are doing, are you going to do a 16-8? You're going to be a 24, 72-hour? You're going to be alternate day fasting? Which one are you going to do? And then what are the benefits and how do we get through that fast? Because you want to make sure that you're doing that so that you are aware of what can happen, how long, what you do, right? So the intricacies of that fasting method. And then, in order to help push you through, you want to begin establishing some affirmations. These are things that you maybe have on your wall, things that you have on your mirror, things that you have that you're saying to yourself. In fact, in my coaching, when I'm coaching, there are these recordings that we will have people get, and they play them at night. And they're basically affirmations that are being played. I am doing the best for my health. I am fasting to improve my metabolism. I am a doer. I will complete my fast. I will reverse my diabetes. Right? So these are words, these are things that you say that help to support you and help the coach. Remember that inner coach? It gives the inner coach the ammunition to go against the inner critic, because the inner critic is going to say, yeah, you can't do this. But the inner coach gets to come along and say, no. We can do this. We can do this. Okay? And then nutritional preparation. This, of all the things we talk about, right? The mental and the nutritional preparations are huge. Because the nutritional preparation has direct implications for how your body's going to respond in those very first hours of fasting. Now, the mental preparation is great because you visualize it. It helps you get through the fast. It helps you understand what's going to happen in your body. It helps you know what those mile markers are. But to deal with the when the rubber meets the road, when you're in the fast and you're having that craving, or you're feeling hungry, or you're feeling lightheaded, weak, dizzy, and you're right. So that has to do, a lot of that has to do with nutritional preparation. And specifically the things you eat leading up to the fast. If you eat things that are high in carbs, refined sugar, then your body will have to process that as you get into those first hours of fasting. And when it has to do that, that will show up as hunger, because in order to process it, in order to deal with those blood sugars, your body has to produce insulin. And when insulin comes out, insulin is an appetite stimulant. Insulin is a storage hormone. So your body begins storing the calories. You're like, I'm going into fasting, but I'm in fasting and it takes me longer to get into ketosis. It takes me longer for my body to access the stored fat, to burn it, because I've eaten something that requires the processing, and the processing time is determined by the sugar that you eat. How high does the sugar go? How much insulin does your body have to produce? How much insulin do you have to take if you're on medication? That all has implications for those first hours of fasting, and maybe even more, because remember well, let me back up a minute, and let's look at some of these others, and I think that will help us. All right, so reduce the carbs is one of the things that we say. Reduce the carbs, those highly processed, refined carbs. But look at the next two: increase the healthy fats and increase the protein. Those two, fats and protein, will help to keep us satisfied longer. So that if we come into the fast having eaten those, then when we get into those first few hours of the fast, the body is not pushing for us to eat something because it feels full and it doesn't feel like we have to go get something to eat right now. And once we get into ketosis, the ketones themselves that are produced will help us feel fuller, help us feel not hungry. Right? So there are these three things that are happening. But if we come into the fast having just eaten highly refined, highly sugary, high carb foods, the insulin levels are high. If by virtue of that, we probably didn't eat a whole lot of protein or a whole lot of fat, and so we don't have the benefit of those two, and all we have now is a quick spike in blood sugar. Insulin comes out to deal with that, and we're spending hours into the fast dealing with the cravings that come from the stuff we just ate. Okay? So what I recommend is determine what specific meal you're going to eat before you start the fast. Don't let that be a just random, right? Don't just let it be a free fall. Look for, say, hey, okay, what if I'm going to do fasting and I'm going to be successful in my fasting? What are the things that I want to do to prepare myself for the fast? What are the foods I'm going to eat? And determine what that's going to be. And then that's what you eat, right? And then you gradually reduce your eating window as you get to the fast. So increase. Say you're going to do a 16-8 fast, right? 16 hours of fasting, 8 hours of eating. Then what you can do is you can start by eating like you're normal, and most people are eating for a 12-hour period. And then you cut that back to 10 hours. Then you cut that back to 8 hours. Right? So notice what we've done is we've gradually changed the amount of time that we're eating. If you're doing a more extended fast, like a 24-hour fast, then you keep going through that process. So you start with eating like 12 hours, then you eat for 10 hours, then 8 hours, then 6 hours, then 4 hours, then 2 hours, and then you don't eat one meal a day. Okay? And so now you've achieved that, but you've gotten there gradually. Particularly if you're new to fasting, that is a great way. That's a great way of doing that. Okay, and then, so hydration and electrolytes are important. Hydration and electrolytes. If you don't drink water, you're gonna get dehydrated. First of all, most of us don't drink enough water anyway, right, on a regular basis. But specifically during fasting, when we are fasting, because you're not thinking about eating, you're also not thinking about what? You're not thinking about drinking. And so most people are already dehydrated when they come into the fast. And in the fast, most of us are going to get some dehydration, right? Unless we're very, very careful. I should say very careful, very, very. But if we have to be intentional. I just say careful. So you see me sipping all the time. And it's a conscious decision. I got to sip, because I'm not sitting there drinking, right? Big gulps. But if I'm sipping throughout the day, then that helps to maintain hydration. So make sure that you are maintaining good hydration. Maintain that you are you're making sure your electrolytes are good. You may have to use some electrolyte supplements. Lots of products on the market that you can use that for. And then, of course, you can drink herbal teas, green tea, chamomile tea, peppermint. All of these will help to relax you, and also they will keep you hydrated. Okay, so good, very good options for that. And then physical preparation. How do we prepare physically? We engage in light activity leading up to the fast. So we're not talking about running a marathon. We're not talking about like bodybuilding and doing your deadlifts, your heavy deadlifts. No, we want to begin cutting back on those if we're getting into the fast. 1 or 2 days before the fast, you want to ease up on that and start doing some more light exercise, walking, swimming, yoga, those types of things. Unless you are in the process of doing a fasting workout, that's a whole nother type of thing that people do, because they find that when they fast and they work out, the muscles like the ketones, and when you fast, your body develops growth hormone or produces growth hormone, and that helps with muscle mass. Okay, so unless you're doing that, then you want to cut back on the on the exercise. You want to aim for at least 7 hours of quality sleep, quality restorative sleep, quality restorative sleep, not just getting in the bed and watching TV and then nodding off and waking up and nodding off and looking at your phone. I'm talking about restful, deep sleep. You want to make sure that you are doing that. And then begin reducing your caffeine or your energy drinks. Otherwise, you'll get into the fast and you'll be basically having almost withdrawal symptoms from some of those, right? So you don't want to do that. So make sure that you are, make sure you're preparing for that. And then preparing your environment. This is a huge one, right? So there are things around you that you know trigger you. Don't have them around. If you know that nuts are a problem for you, don't have nuts around. If you know that you have problems with candy, cookie, right? Don't have them around. Yeah? Don't have them around. Just clean out your environment. And you'll see there it says remove unhealthy snacks. And then I scratched out unhealthy and just said remove snacks. There's no physiologic reason for snacking. There's no physiologic reason for snacking. Create fasting friendly zones, right? Prepare distractions. Most of us, if we're not thinking about fasting, there are times when you go for several hours. Almost sometimes you'll go for a day without eating. And then when it comes time for fasting, we're like, okay, I can't fast. And the question is why? It's because we are distracted during those other times. But when we start thinking about fasting, our brain is, okay, fasting. Okay, I'm going to not eat for 16 hours. And all 16 hours we're thinking about the fast. Normally, we're doing all the stuff we need to do, right? And so you want to prepare distractions for the brain. You want to get some friends, go walking, plan to read, plan some other activity that you're going to do that doesn't revolve around food. And I think that will help. That will definitely help you in the process. And then remember that fasting is an emotional and a social thing. So prepare emotionally and support and socially. So elicit support from your community. Let them know what you're doing. Identify the triggers that are in your environment and clean the environment out. Okay? Remember, the things that lead to our breaking our fast, getting off our fast, not sticking to our fast, they can be given. Those triggers, the heat model, habits, the routines that we're in, the emotions that come up, the access that we have to food, and the taste that comes, right? The taste that brings back the memory of that time we had that thing with that person that we felt that way and how good it was. And then join a community, right? This is a great community to be joining because this community is one that's working on fasting and improving health and improving our metabolism, right? So some takeaways for preparing. Number one, preparation is key. Remember that. You want to prepare mentally, emotionally, socially, physically, as we mentioned. Get rest, plenty of rest. Eat nutrient-dense meals. That means that you're eating balanced meals, and then you want to get into community, right? Get into community. Very, very important. And that will help you prepare for the fast well. So preparing for the fast, getting through the fast, and then, of course, breaking the fast. So getting through the fast, what does that mean? So completing the fast is very important. At the outset, let me say that some of the things that we need to do in preparation for the fast are some of the same things we need to do as we talk about getting through the fast. One is getting good rest. Two is managing our stress. And three is making sure that we're hydrated, right? So those are givens. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about those. You need to make sure that those three things are constant, actually in all three areas, all three phases of fasting: preparing, getting through the fast, and breaking the fast, resting, hydration, and managing stress. Very important. All right. So if I'm going to give you like an overall takeaway, those are probably the top three things you want to make sure that you're doing. Because if you do those, then the rest of what happens during fasting is going to be much easier and simpler for you. If you don't do those, then it's on. Okay, so preparing for the fast. So the first thing when we talk about fasting is that we tend to define or divide fasting into chunks. So our extended fasting are 24 hours or longer, so 24, 48, 72. But to begin a fast, we got to get through the first 24 hours. And so we're going to spend some time getting through and walking through the first 24, actually probably the first 30-ish hours or so. And the very first part of fasting, right, the 0 to 6 hours, is what's called the postprandial period. And this is where you have just finished eating, and the body is breaking down the food that you ate. It's absorbing the material that's in the food, absorbing the components in the food. Is the enzymes are breaking down the carbohydrates. Remember, we have those amylase enzymes, which is where vinegar works. By the way, when you hear people say if you use vinegar, then it decreases your sugar. The reason it works is that it's working on those enzymes that are now breaking down the carbohydrates, the sugars, the fat, not the fats, the sugars, the bread, the pasta, the rice, the cookies, the candy, cake, right? So that's what the enzymes do. The first 6 hours. There are the lipases that are breaking down the fats, right? And it's emulsifying it and it's sending it off to your liver, and the liver is packaging it and doing some things with it. Some of it goes to the liver, and that's where fatty liver happens. And then if it can't put any more in there, then it sends it out to the blood. That's where we get high cholesterol. And then if it can't go there, then it goes to muscles, and it also sometimes will go to the fat cells. That's where we get weight loss, and we get muscle myopathies. And then, of course, the proteins, the protease, right? Proteins are being broken down. You ate that steak, you ate that fish, you ate that tofu or those chickpeas, and there are proteins in there, and the body is breaking those down. And some of it is going to build muscle, some of it is going to build bone, some of it is going to be cleaved, and some of the components are going to be actually used to make sugar. Right, so all of that is happening in the postprandial phase. This is the very first part of when you finish eating. So I want you to imagine this, right? I want you to imagine this postprandial period. This is the time when your food you just finished eating, and you went out. You're saying, I'm gonna start fasting in 3 hours. Okay, in 3 hours. And so you went out, and your last meal prior to getting into the fast is you went to. I'm not going to call it a restaurant, but you went to a local restaurant and you got a big bowl of pasta, right? Because you're like, man, I love fettuccine Alfredo, or I love spaghetti, I love lasagna, whatever it is, right? Big bowl of pasta. And then they put like 3 pieces of chicken or 3 pieces of meat. You know how they do, right? And then you just gobble that up. And then when you first go, right, depending on the restaurant you go to, they'll bring that bread, right? Yeah, the bread with either the vinegar mixed with oil, or they've got some oil with black pepper on it. You know how they do, and it makes it taste so good. And so you ate a bunch of bread, right? Because you were waiting, because the food took a long time. And while you're waiting, right, you ordered a glass of soda. We're not even gonna go to some of the other drinks, right? Let's just say simple soda. You ordered and it wasn't sugar free, and so you drank it. Ate some bread while you're waiting for the food, and they come back and they said, would you like a refill? And you said, sure. And you drank it and ate some more bread, and then finally your food came. Oh, no, you got some appetizers. Let me forget that. You got some appetizers, and you got a salad. All right, got salad, maybe you got some finger foods. And most of the finger foods, by the way, contain what? Carbs. They're breaded chicken, they're the stuffed mushrooms, they're the dips with the chip, right? The what is it? Spinach guacamole, spinach artichoke dip, whatever it is. But most of the appetizers are carbs. And so you've had some of that, and then your food finally came, and on the food on the plate there's the pasta, the pound of pasta, the mounting of pasta. You got the chicken stringed over it, and they grate the Parmesan cheese, and you put some pepper on it, and sticking out of the plate are those they get the fancy bread sticks. Or the little, I don't know what it is. Is it a tortilla that they've cut in a triangle and they've deep fried it and it's just so, and they've sprinkled Parmesan on it. I don't know why I'm that detailed. I don't know. Why do I know this? That's what I want to know. Why do I know this? Ooh, I know it because that's me. I'm sitting at the table. Okay. And so you ate that, right? Because you guys were celebrating or you went out or it's date night or whatever it is. And you decide I'm fasting after that. Well, you stopped eating 3 hours ago. Or say you said that's my last meal. And so you get up from the table, and for the next hours, several hours, your body has to process all of that. And it takes longer to process that than if the meal you just ate was, say, a salad with a piece of steak on top. Right, so you got their garden salad with steak or whatever. A salad that's a meal salad, not one of the side salads. So the body has to spend more time processing the first meal that I described. And it takes longer for us to get into ketosis as a result of that. Okay? All right. So the first 6 hours, postprandial period. And then we get into the next 6 hours. And by the way, during this period, the energy levels are actually pretty high, right? Because you got all those ready carbs that have come out. And then the 6 to 12 hours, this is the state where your body's insulin levels are starting to go down because the processing of the food has happened and some of the food is being stored and the blood sugar is starting to go down because the body is now dealing with it, or you've taken some insulin if you're on medication, right? And the blood sugars are starting to go down. And the glycogenolysis, breakdown of glycogen into glucose is happening because we put some in the liver. And as the blood sugars start to drop, we're pulling it back out, right? So during the 6 hours, we put some in, and then now we're getting this last part, and the blood sugars are starting to dip, and the body says, okay, give me some of that back so I can use that for energy, right? And the energy levels begin to fluctuate. So now notice blood sugar, right, or glycogen, carbohydrates, they give you ready energy, but they also go away quickly. Because they're very volatile, because insulin is there, like sugar comes out, insulin comes out, right? So very volatile in terms of how they work. So that's the 6 to 12 hours, okay? And then we transition to using fat. This is 12 to 18 hours. So this is a physical state where glucose levels have continued to drop, insulin levels are going down. This is where the gluconeogenesis is happening. This is where we're creating glucose from non-glucose sources. When I told you that the body's breaking down protein and taking some of it that goes into the glucose process, it is taking non-glucose sources and creating glucose from it. So one of the things we talked about is triglycerides, right? So triglycerides, you've heard that term. So tri means three. So there are three fatty acid components that are attached to what's called a glycerol backbone. So three fatty acid components attached to a glycerol backbone. So you can think of it like this. So this is the glycerol backbone, and then we got three fats hanging off of it. So what the body does is it cleaves off the fat, and all we're left with is the glycerol. Glycerol, right? That word sounds pretty much similar to glycogen. Glycerol, glycogen, glucose. So from this, which comes from fat, by the way, the body's able to take this and it's able to make sugar from it. Right? So even though you didn't eat sugar, if you have fat cells, right, which most of us have, when the body's breaking down the fat cells, it's able to make sugar from that. So that's why some people say, well, I don't understand why my blood sugar didn't go down because I haven't eaten in whatever number of hours or number of days. Well, yes, That's true. You're not putting sugar in from outside, but the body still has a way of making sugar. And it comes from fat. And that's the gluconeogenesis that you just saw there, where the body is making sugar, making glucose from non-glucose sources. And this is where people may feel a dip in their energy. They may become irritable. They may become hungry, right? As the blood sugars finally are starting to go down because all the food that you ate is now being used up. Okay, so we're transitioning now to fat burning, and in this process right here, things like autophagy is beginning. Right, we're starting to now take sugar out of fat out of the cells. Right, so all of that is happening in this space, and then we get into ketosis. So ketosis is beginning. Let's hop over to. So now we're in the 12 to 12 or 18 to 24 hour period. In the 18 to 24 hour period, and during this period is where glycogen stores have pretty much gone, right? Glycogen stores are pretty much gone, and the body is storing. The body stores are nearing depletion, right? And this leads to increased ketosis as the liver is now mobilizing, or the body is now mobilizing fat for energy, and this is where a lot of the benefit that we talk about when we talk about ketosis and fasting. This is where a lot of those benefits happen, right? So energy levels initially can start to go down, but people start to now feel like they are their thought processes are much better, right? The mental clarity begins happening during this period. And then we move to the 24-hour period where we have fat adaptation. So now the body is in full force using fat as an energy source for the body, and we're moving now fully away from using carbohydrates. Now, to be honest, the body never really 100% moves away from carbohydrates, right? Because even when it's burning fat, like I said, it can produce sugar from it. But it's not using that as its main source of energy, right? And so that is getting through the fast, making sure you're hydrated, making sure you are rested, making sure you're not dealing with a lot of stresses, making sure that you are doing all the things we talked about in terms of getting through the fast. And then breaking the fast. And breaking the fast is just as important, because if you're not careful, you can undo some of the benefits that you had through the fast. Right, so how do we break the fast successfully? And here are some tips. One, we want to make sure that we are monitoring our levels. And specifically here, talking about monitoring blood sugars. And I say blood sugar, but also monitoring ketones, very important. Because if we are to understand how our body works, how the things we're doing now are affecting our body, then monitoring is very important. One of the series that we're actually in the middle of recording right now is just a series showing what happens to blood sugar after I eat certain things. And so when I fast, I am fasting long enough so my blood sugars go down, so that when I eat, what you're seeing are the results of the food that I'm eating. Right? Oftentimes, when I see people show what they're eating, they've eaten, and now they've just not eaten for a while, and they're eating something else. But this is, okay, I've not eaten for 48 hours, so I'm not eating for 36 hours, I've not eaten for 72 hours, and then now when I eat, what you're seeing has to be from the food that I just ate. And so this helps you to understand what foods will do to your body as you are beginning to reintroduce certain things to your body, because otherwise you don't know. Okay. Then the other thing is portion control, making sure that you are having adequate portions. Very important, because if you're not watching the portions, you end up eating a lot more than you should. Same thing goes with eating slowly. If you eat slowly, then you have a better chance of not eating too much. It takes about 20 minutes for the signals from the stomach, right, to go up to the brain to say, hey, I'm full. And if you're not careful, then you will end up eating through that process, and that makes it difficult for you to maintain the benefits that you got during the fasting. And then avoiding sugary, highly processed foods, that goes without saying, because once again, if you break the fast with highly processed, high sugar foods, then your insulin level is going to come up, because it has to deal with the sugar. When insulin comes up, the benefit of the appetite suppression begins to go away, because insulin will stimulate your appetite. That's what it's an appetite stimulant. And it also will make you begin to store the energy from the food that you ate, which goes against what we said we were going to do in the first place. We're trying to lose weight in a lot of cases. And now if this is making us put on weight, then that's not what we want to do. Okay? And then hydration, right? So once again, as I mentioned before, hydration is important in preparing for the fast, getting through the fast, and of course, here now, breaking the fast. Make sure you're hydrated. You want to drink lots of water. Coconut water is another good hydration fluid. Make sure it's unsweetened, right? Otherwise, like I said, blood sugars skyrocket. And then herbal teas, very important as well. For protein, you want to make sure that you're using enough protein, because remember, protein will help you feel fuller longer. It'll keep you from cravings, right? It helps your body produce the protein YY, which signals the brain that you're full. So things like eggs, chicken, turkey breast, tofu, tempeh, all those are good sources of protein. And then healthy fats, right? Healthy fats are good because, once again, they will help you feel satisfied longer. So avocados, nuts, seeds like chia seeds, flaxseed, not only are they high in not only good fats, but they also have fiber, which will help to blunt the spike in blood sugars that we get if we simply eat straight carbs. And of course, broths. Broths are a good place or a good way to maintain hydration. Vegetable broth, bone broth. You guys have seen me here break my fast with broths as well. We've not done that for a little bit. And we're going to come back, because typically we're doing the show a little earlier in this season than we were, where you were seeing me break the fast on the show. But we'll come back to that soon. And then here's some considerations, right? When you break the fast, you want to choose foods that help you maintain stable blood sugars. You don't want a whole lot of spiking, right? Also, when I break the fast, I try to eat foods that will help me stay in ketosis longer, right? Because I want the benefits of ketosis. You want to focus on low glycemic index foods, that's glycemic index of 50 or lower. You want to focus on lean protein, healthy fats, and you want to stay hydrated. Those are that is so important. If you don't do that, then we set ourselves up for difficulty, and then we will not be able to. Our body will not. It's difficult because the body says, I don't want to go through this fast again, because the last time we did that, it didn't go well. Okay, so you want to make sure you do that. All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at. Let's see, we got some community members. Let's see what we got going on. So Gion says, so here's a question. Gion says, Doctor, do you have a coffee when you smell? No, I don't drink coffee. I don't drink coffee. Now there's caffeine in my tea that I drink, but I don't drink coffee. Let's see. Let's go back up here. Boy says, are you for the 1 meal a day? We talked about that and doing Ramadan. I hear that a lot. Fasting is not good for you. Yes. Yeah, Pamela said that. Yeah, people will say that fasting is not good for you, and that is not true. Bowie says yes. Actually, got a walk in the last 3 days consistently. So walking, very good as well, right? Started watching you after doctor told me I have A1C of 6.1. I hope to get that lower before the next appointment. Yes, awesome. And I had my doctor's visit, and my A1C was up. I think I told you guys that we were experiencing blood sugars 30 to 40 points higher once I got sick, and they're finally now coming back down to the place where I want them to be. And so anyway, so we'll share that experience with you on one of our shows. Pamela said, especially since I'm diabetic, of course I ignore them. They are right. So there's a lot of misinformation out there about fasting. Pam, you're not using blood sugar tool. Gion says, I love fasting review. I love it. I love it too. Pam said, Gion, I don't understand your question. She said, do you test your blood sugar sometimes? Yes, I do. I am diabetic. So Pam is saying that. I got you. And then Gion, of course, the question we ask. And yes, I am in fasting right now. All right. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at my monitor. And of course, because I've been talking, I've got logged out. So let's go ahead and log back in. And then we'll take a look at what's been going on with me the last several days. Let's just hop over here. And this. Here we are. Okay, so here's my glucose log from my CGM. This is my Dexcom, and you'll see there my average blood sugar is 155. We usually tell people we want it between 100 and 120, and that is a consequence of the illness. As I was talking with my doctor today, glucose management indicator is 7.0. So if I got an A1C now based on this average, that's what my blood sugar A1C should be. It's an estimate. It is not an actual A1C. I'm in target 68% of the time. You'll see that there. Target being 70 to 180. And then if we look at my daily graphs, so here today, right? So we've been 70s, and then we got up into the 90s, the low 100s, 112, 113, I think we got as high as 120. Did I see that? Yeah, 120 right there. And then came back down for the rest of today, and right now we are 74. If I go back, right, so this was at, what did I say, 69 hours? So if I go back, you'll see here that for this day, my blood sugars actually were a little flatter, right? So the highest I got that day was 10. Let's see, what was the highest? 101 maybe? Yeah, I think the highest I got here was 101, and then 80s and 90s, 70s. So if I go back another 24 hours, right? So you see we're coming into the fast, and it spiked up. I think it got up to 160. 155 maybe. 155 was the highest, and then down again. So that was Wednesday, and Tuesday is when we started the fast, Tuesday evening. And so coming into Tuesday, here we are, low 100s, and these are the numbers that I am typically used to, right? So these are the kind of numbers I'm used to. And so we spiked up here, got up to 130, I think got up to 150 was the highest as we went through that day, lower 100s, and then spiking up to 130, 140 was the highest there, and then back down. But if I go back further, you'll see during this day, this is Monday, we were spiking up higher. So this week was the first week that I started getting numbers again that I would expect, right, based on where my metabolism is. And all of that is a consequence of having been ill several weeks ago. Awesome. So let's go ahead now and let's hop over. So here is, let's grab this one. So I think I saw one person. So Gian says that she thinks my ketones are going to be. Did you say 0.6 or 2? Let me go back up there. I think Gian says 2. 2.0 is what Gian says. So let's go ahead and let's do that. And I think I have my Clarity app open. If not, let's go grab it. Not Clarity, but my Keto Mojo app. All right, here we are. Let's do this one. All right, so Keto Mojo, and you'll see what my ketones were yesterday. So my blood sugar was 55, ketones were 2.1. So let's go ahead and let's turn this on, and let's see what it is. I usually hit the button to sync it, but I think the last time it just synced on its own. So let's see if that does it again. Doesn't look like it's gonna do, so I'm gonna hit the button, syncing. And drum roll, please. Anybody? Boom, boom, boom. There's the data's coming over, and let's see what we have. And I haven't seen this yet, so we're seeing it together. So my blood sugar is 7.73, and my ketones are 2.4. Right? So 2.4. So let's go back. Let's go back here. Let's see. All right. So let's go. I think this is the one. No. Okay, there it is. This is what I wanted to show. So, so below is, you'll see that blood sugar was 81, and ketones were 1.0, and then blood sugar was 55, ketones 2.1, and blood sugar 73, ketones 2.4. Now, the ketones don't necessarily correspond with blood sugar, other than if the blood sugar is high, insulin comes out, and insulin decreases ketones. Okay? Does that make sense? So right now, my ketones are higher because I've been fasting longer, even though my blood sugar in this case was higher. So my ketones are higher. It's 2.4 because I've been fasting longer today than I was yesterday when we got the those ketones. All right. And then let's take a look at our graph. Once again, when blood sugars go down, like my blood sugar went from here to here, right, down to 81. Let's see where it is. Right there. Come on. So this is giving me ketones or blood. Let's see if I can get that a little bit better. All right. So blood sugar of 81 right there, and my ketones were 1.0. And then the blood sugar went down more, right? So blood sugar went down to 55. Ketones went up. And the blood sugars are still low, but I'm fasting longer, and so my ketones are up at 2.4. Okay, so that's where. So when we talk about ketones, we want our ketones, if they're less than 0.5, they're considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 considered therapeutic nutritional ketosis, and then above 1.5 considered therapeutic ketosis. And that is if you are in fasting and you're looking to get into ketosis, some of those longer fasts, if you are doing ketogenic diet, if you're doing low carbs or keto fasting mimicking diets, I forgot that word for a minute, then you want ketones that are 0.5 or higher. Right? And also remember, as you're fasting, there are 3 things that we do that will slow food as it moves through the stomach, help us feel fuller longer, and send signal to the brains that we're full. And that is ketones will do that, fats will do that, and proteins will do that. Right? They're sending that signal. The other thing that is in the mainstream that everybody's talking about now is the GLP-1 receptor agonist medications. What they do is they suppress the appetite. They slow food as it moves through your stomach. So the same things that those 3 components are doing is the same thing medication is doing. Yeah? All right. And so as we are moving through our health space, remember that everything we do is built on the Triple E formula for success. That is, we educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows, with the podcast, with the blog. We empower with the tools that we're learning, like fasting is a tool that we're using. Balanced Bites is another tool that we're using, right, to set ourselves up for the best possibility of success. And I'm not sure why this thing is not going off, but that's okay. And then we encourage. We encourage with the community that you are part of, that you are building, that you're helping to grow. So when you show up, I want you to make sure that you are doing the challenges. Make sure you are putting these things to practice. That it's not just on the shelf somewhere, but you are being intentional about using them and being in this space. Also, there are over 1 billion people on the planet right now who are diabetic or who are pre-diabetic. Make sure that you let them know that this is a space where they can come and they can have benefit. All the shows that we have, the series that we're working on, the 100 not working on, but we are in the 100-day walk to consistency and health. Amazing, right? So we are setting aside time to be intentional. We're being consistent. We're creating a structure for ourselves where we get up and we're doing this. We are learning, right? And we're exercising our body. Here in the fasting space, we're learning the tool of reversing our metabolic disease. We're working on getting rid of our chronic diseases. We're walking through the path of limitless living as we go every time we get on the show, and we're talking about the path that we're walking down. So this is a space they can come and they can get amazing benefits. I am always excited when you are here and when I get to be with you. Remember, we're going to be here on Saturday. So tomorrow night, 9 p.m. will be this week videos from the vault. On Sunday, This Week in Review at 6 a.m. Central. And then we'll be right back here on Monday for Dwain Woode, MD Live. Make sure you're joining us. If you're not part of our community, we'd love to welcome you into the community. Make sure you join. Make sure you get in there. We have an amazing group. We have an amazing community, a supportive community, and you can be a part of that. Make sure you join. Make sure you come. When you are sending people to the channel, you may say to them, hey, let's go do this video together. Let's go do this series together. In fact, with that said, on the channel, we're doing the 100-day walk to consistency. And what I've done is I've gone ahead and broken the days, the weeks, into different topics, different themes. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's see where. Right here we are. Let me go over to this one. So each week is a different theme, and we're like on week, I think, 9 now. So only 8 is listed here, but we're on week 9. So laying the foundation, right? We're talking about walking, building momentum, mastering mindset, enhancing our mental and emotional resilience, building discipline, unlocking productivity, enhancing self-efficacy, strengthen our relationships, right? And this week we're talking about, next week we'll be talking about energy and exercise and food and nutrition. So all of these are things that you can be out there. You may not be able to go through the entire series. You can do it. You can start one day at a time. But you say, okay, let's go and let's learn about how to be consistent. Let's go learn about nutrition. Let's go learn about exercise. And all of those are broken down there in our on the channel and in those playlists. Awesome. All right. Well, let's see. Let's go ahead and let's hop over and let's do some questions before we go. And let me see, where did I stop? So, good evening, all. Gian. Gian says, thank you for today's live, doctor. Very happy I'm in the live today. Glad that you joined us. Pam, what are you going to eat for dinner? Police says, good night, everyone. Have not thought about it yet. Pam says she hasn't gotten what she's going to eat yet. Boy says, dates and beef samosa. Oh, can I come? I'm coming. Get a plate. Get a plate for me. Samosa, and boy, it says like egg rolls or lumpia. Awesome. I love it. Well, everyone, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. I'm excited that you are here, excited that you're in the community. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we're moving to that next level. We're living a limitless life. And Limitless Living says that we are breaking free from the constraints. We're not allowing anything from outside of us or anything from inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do to be healthy. We're presenting our best self, our best health, and our best plans for our life. Thank you for joining me. Have a great evening and a great weekend. We'll see you at our next show.